What if the healthcare system has let you down and it's continuing to let you down? Where do you turn, you know? Us layman people, which is what we are, we haven't specialised in the medical profession or anything like that. We go to our doctors for help, and if they're not giving us the help and things are getting worse, what do we do? You know, it can be a quite a frightening thing. What I want to state first of all is I can't give any medical advice, and this video is for entertainment purposes only. I have to say that. But what do you do, you know? I first of all want to repeat what I've said a few times already. We have the BP Reset program. On the pinned post at the top of this community group, Elevated Blood Pressure community group, you will see it there. Where's the overview of the program. It teaches you all about blood pressure, you know, what it is, how to measure it, why it might be elevated, why it might go low, prescribed medications, how they work, what are the potential side effects, how to get around the side effects, lifestyle factors, the core 7 principles, you know, the detox, hydration, diet, exercise, sleep, stress management and breath. You know, how they all impact your entire health system, you know, but specifically we're talking about the blood pressure. So I recommend that people take us up on the offer. You know, it retails for $300. It's on the site at the moment for $99. And for everybody in this group who are genuine people who want support to understand blood pressure and how to heal themselves, you know, and what to do if the system fails you. It's all there, you know. So just send an email to support@core3vitality.com and I'll make sure that I get you a code which will give you 100% off. So in other words, you get free access, you know. So I highly recommend that for everyone. So let's go back to what should we be doing with the doctors. You know, the doctors have got a difficult job. By the way the system's designed, there's only a certain number of doctors, which makes their you know, they're working 60-80 hours a week. They're given the 10-minute slot. You know, it's difficult. And I'm not a doctor, and I'm not saying the doctors are correct or whatever. I've said many times, I have a problem with the system, but what can we do as individuals, as patients, to help the doctors? Well, you know, if we come in with a history of ourselves, what we've tried in the past, information about our lifestyle, you know, if we know how to measure the blood pressure properly, so we're getting accurate readings, we're turning up with 7 days readings, everything else, we're helping the doctor to then help you, you know. So I think that's really important. I put up a post yesterday, and I won't mention names or anything else, and again, this is for entertainment purposes only, but you know, what happens if you've got a very complex case? You've went to several doctors, you go to top cardiologist institutions, and you're still not getting the solutions that you want, you know. This example, if we're talking about the pituitary gland, if there was any issues with that, that's what produces the chemicals and regulates and tells your body what to do and everything else. So that could be an issue. If there's problems with the adrenal gland and the kidneys, which is absolutely to do with you know, the blood pressure and the release of certain hormones to constrict the blood vessels, which would take it to go up, absolutely relevant. The kidneys retaining of the water, absolutely relevant. So all these sorts of things. What do you do if, after visiting all of the best people, you're still not getting the solutions that you want? I'm going to have to change hands because my hands are freezing, so to put them in the pocket. What do you do, you know? Now here comes a bit that's more difficult, and I've tried several times to put information into the group, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of interest. I totally understand that. We've been educated a certain way about the 5 senses, know how that works and all that sort of stuff, so totally get it. I'm going to say a couple of things. I've mentioned quite a few times, my hat's all skew with. I've mentioned quite a few times about atoms being 99.99999% energy and 0.0000% matter. In other words, the atom's almost entirely energy and virtually no matter. Yet here we are experiencing matter, and as a human being, all we're made of is trillions of atoms. Now the atom can be broke down. I won't do that in this video, but just to keep that in mind, if we are made from trillions of atoms and an atom is almost entirely energy, then we are energetic beings, you know. But we're only experiencing the matter element, which is a fraction of reality. Now, I've said that deliberately. I want to come on to a study that Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about quite a bit. It's the uterine cancer in women. There was thousands of women. So some people may be familiar with the aura, which is like the electromagnetic blueprint around your body, the energy that it puts out. And there was thousands of women in this study, and thousands had this energetic blueprint in the field, and all of those women had the uterine cancer. There was all of the women who didn't have that, there's people coming with the dogs and stuff like that. So the people who didn't have that in the field didn't have the uterine cancer. But here's the strange part. There were several hundred women who had the imprint in the field, but they didn't have uterine cancer. Okay. But several months later, they developed uterine cancer. So what does that tell you, you know? It tells you that, you know, the information in the field, which we know is a much higher frequency, first must exist before it comes down into the body to form as matter. So that's really, really interesting, you know. All forms of disease is just that part of your body is operating at a lower frequency to what it should be, the homeostasis state. So if you can raise your frequency, you know, the disease can't exist. Now, I can talk from personal experience with this. My partner Eve had skin cancer. She had it across her head, she had it down her face, she had it across her chest. These were physical scabs. And through the Dr. Joe Dispenza retreat, she had a healing session, and within 24 hours, there was no trace of cancer at all. She'd been going through the medical system for over a year, the chemo, cream, all the different tests. Getting worse. Within 24 hours, it was fixed. Now I can talk about, me and Eve are part of the Dr. Joe Dispenza Global Coherence Healing Group. You know, where there's been an example where a child is terminally ill, has got 24 hours to live, riddled with cancer, and all the people around the world doing this coherence healing, sending the healing energy to the child. Within hours, all of the cancer was taken from the body. Now this is again, it is for, what's the word I'm looking for, entertainment purpose only. I can't, you know, but what I will say at the end, I recommend looking them up and all that sort of stuff, which I will do. You know, what about the woman who had a adrenal gland surgically removed? It was causing loads of problems, so she made a decision to grow it back, and she grew it back. How did that happen? There was the woman who was wrongly diagnosed with colon rectal cancer. She had her whole anal cavity cut out, had to go to a colostomy bag, and it was ruining her life, so she made the decision to grow back the anal cavity. She grew it all back and everything else. How did that happen? So what the current medical system knows And again, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm not making judgments or anything like that, but you know, where we are as a collective, the medical establishment is starting to wake up to new possibilities and new realities, and there's things that they can't explain and everything else. So what I'm going to do to finish off this video is, you know, it's better that as an individual that you know about your own body, the way you respond to stress, and all that sort of stuff. I'm offering the blood pressure training program free of charge to anybody in this group. Just send the email to support@core3vitality.com and I'll ensure you get the 100% off code, so you get that for free. So that's the first part. Second part is when you go to your doctor. We all know that the establishment only gives them 10 minutes. They don't get the proper training. They've only had, you know, 20 hours of nutritional training. There's only a certain number of doctors, means they're working 60 to 80 hours a week. So, you know, with a bit of compassion, you have to understand how difficult it is for the doctor. So if we can come with information about our bodies, ourselves, how we want to heal, what we've tried, all these sorts of things, it can only help the doctor to then help you. So this is a really good idea. And then what happens if you've been through to your doctor and you're not getting the support you need? Next step is to look for other doctors, get other opinions. If in rare complex cases you've seen all the specialists, you go and see all of these top cardiologists, the Mayo Clinic or whatever it is, and you're still not getting solutions. You know, it may be a good idea to continue that path, keep on looking. There's a solution there, but as I said before, the medical establishment only knows a certain thing. They will look at, you know, maybe this is a cardiological, like a heart issue, it's a blood pressure issue, it's what, but maybe it's not, you know. Maybe it's not. You know, I could do a whole different video on and totally go very, very deep onto this, but how your thoughts and belief system is what manifests your current reality and all that sort of stuff. Take that with as an entertainment purposes only comment as well. But the point being is, what happens if it's not purely a physical thing? What happens if it's manifest from something else? Unless that root cause gets fixed, these symptoms, which is the disease, the energy being in a lower frequency than what the body requires, that part of the body which creates the disease, what happens if that could be the issue, you know? So there's a load of different things, but I would say never ever give up. There's, you know, it's a once you heal from these things, it's a great lesson. You start to understand why you went through that lesson, all that sort of stuff. But what I can say is, if you've got a complex case, you've went through the whole specialist doctors, specialist clinics, you know, I would say, and I've read many times in this group, you know, people are on 8 medications, 9 medications, 10 medications, all of them have side effects and it's a spider's web. It's a mess, you know. That's definitely not the solution. So what I would say is that I can't give any advice or anything like that. But what I can say is Dr. Joe Dispenza teaches a new way. I've physically seen it with my own eyes. My partner Eve has physically experienced the healing. The stories I could tell on that are just unbelievable. He has 3 books. It's no affiliation to me whatsoever. You Are the Placebo and all these types of things. So those 3 books I could highly recommend. For those that, you know, can, he does the 7-day retreat. And then there's all different types, advanced follow-ups, all these sorts of things. But he teaches you all about the theory. You get the experience, the energy management techniques, which is through different types of meditation, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, there's absolute hope out there. There is alternatives to look at. If you're interested in the Dr. Joe Dispenza sort of work, look up on YouTube Dr. Joe Dispenza testimonials, and you'll see people's stories and everything else. But for the majority of people, I'm waffling on now, but for the majority of people, like I say, it's best to understand the problem that you have. In our case here, it's about blood pressure. I'm offering the blood pressure reset program, which will give you all that information. It'll give you a step, hold you step by step on what to do, so you can action it and improve and correct yourself that way. For the majority of the cases, not for the complex cases. With your doctors, if they're letting you down, you know, try different doctors. If you go at the complex case, whatever, you go down that route. If you're still not getting solutions, then there's a potential you could look at alternative ways where that people have had miraculous and very quick recoveries, you know. And I recommend looking into the Dr. Joe Dispenza stuff. So I know it's a long video today. It's something that I didn't know what to put out for today's video, to be honest. But when I read some of the things I did yesterday, I felt compelled to do this. So I have. If it's helpful for you, if you've got some additional comments or whatever, please stick the comments below. Just remember that with Meta, they don't tend to show your posts to people. But the more people that interact with it, so the more people who watch the video, the more people who press a like on it, more people who comment on it, it's telling Meta that this is something of interest. Therefore, they'll start to show it to more people will get the benefit. I'm going to be putting up daily posts, so the more that happens, the more reach my posts will get, the more help I can offer and all this sort of stuff. The more I can spark conversations within the group, actually, which is what I'm trying to do. So I'd appreciate if you put a like, or if you've got a comment or a question added to the video. So, okay, again, every day I like to talk about Alpha and Django, so let's have a... And there they are. That's Django, that's Alpha, and that's all we are. Light. Goodbye, cheers.